So this somehow took forever, yet it went by in a blink, but we're done with 2020.
It's that time of year again, you guys. We're wrapping up the year, so we're wrapping up this season of Trailer Hitch, the podcast.
Indeed, yeah. We are coming at you with our top fives for the year. Now, this has obviously been, what does every single email from every company say? These were unprecedented times, trying times. They were trying times, but that doesn't mean that we can't try here at Trailer Hitch to give you 5 awesome trailers from both of us that we recommend and in retrospect made the biggest impacts on our year. Now, that said, before we go on with this podcast, I have an apology to make because longtime Trailer Hitch listener, Rio, listened to our top 5 of 2019 episode, and he reached out and he said, "Hey, Kevin, I noticed that you made it a point to say, hey, but don't worry, guys, 2020, everything's going to shape up. 2020 is going to be our year." I would just like to apologize for how that aged like milk. And would just like to formally say, I'm not going to make a single goddamn prediction about 2021. I don't even feel comfortable saying 2021 will happen at this point. How about you, James? Do you have anything to say about 2020 or 2021?
It was a long year, but it was a short year in terms of the quantity of trailers we got this year, right? And
that's true.
That was by design because basically the world shut down, which meant movie theaters shut down. And that meant we got a lot fewer trailers. So when Kevin and I came to this episode and we're like, okay, we're going to do our usual end of the year thing, our favorite trailers of the year. It was just a smaller pool to choose from. That doesn't mean the ones that made the list are any less good, though.
Oh,
it was
definitely
a good year for trailers, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. The top 5 that I have for 2020, I think could very easily stand with the top 5 of any other year.
Yeah.
Trying times or no, the trailers tried. That's all that matters.
You can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Releases by the movie trailers. We're Trailer Hitch. This movie might totally suck, but the whiskey sure is going down fine. Yeah, we're Trailer Hitch.
Right, so I won't be making any predictions about 2021. In lieu of that, I will be making predictions about 2017. It was fine. Hi, welcome to Trailer Hitch. I'm Kevin.
Kevin, you can't live in the past, buddy. You gotta move forward. And look,
normally that's a really good piece of advice, James, but this is a top 5 retrospective of this year. So I think this episode we do have to live in the past.
It's so true.
Anyway, this is Trailer Hitch. We rate and review movie trailers. We rate them on a scale of need to see more, or never need to see. If James and I both like a trailer and give it a need to see rating, we celebrate. Then we go see the movie, report back to you guys in a segment called Trailer in the Rear View, in which we review the trailer in retrospect and talk about the film writ large. But we won't be doing any of that. We'll be talking about our top 5.
Let's talk about the best trailers of this fucking miserable year.
Hell yeah. Okay, so James and I, we always do this by round robin. I do have some honorable mentions, but then our top 5s of the year. James, you also have an honorable mention as well, correct?
I just have one honorable mention this year.
All right, so we are going to just start with the honorable mentions. James, what is yours?
As Kevin and I talk about on this show, especially when we get to the end of the year, what constitutes like your favorite trailer of the year? And for me, it's watchability. How many times did I watch it? And have I forced other people to watch it, right? Mm-hmm. And so this trailer on my honorable mention list, it didn't make the list only because I didn't watch it as much as I really, really should have. Like when I was going over my list of the year, I saw the name and I went, ooh, that's right. I liked that trailer. I watched the trailer again and I went, why did I not watch this trailer like 1,000 times? I loved this trailer. And that alone is why it's not on the list, is because I didn't go back to it. The honorable mention is Tesla, starring Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
And it was just such a unique trailer. Kevin and I are just so stale on biopics that when this trailer came along, and it's got a name just like any other old stale biopic,
Just the guy's name.
And then it just takes a left turn to Weird Town. It's got Thomas Edison just flipping through a smartphone at the bar. And it's got people.
Yeah, there's
like,
a lot of
talking about-
anachronisms that are super interesting.
It's super neon at times. So it ends with Ethan Hawke's Tesla grabbing a microphone like fucking David Bowie, like he's about to fucking rock your world. And it just pulls the rug out from under you. That's what I love about it, is that you go in thinking this is going to be a stuffy biopic trailer, and it's just like, fuck you, this is Tesla.
yeah, dude, that's a good one. I really should revisit it. Let's see. I do have 3 honorable mentions, but I'll go quick with them.
Let's hear 'em.
So the first one that I wanted to shout out is one that I really wanted to fit into my top 5. Actually, going off of what you were saying, James, it is one that I really liked when we watched it and we reviewed it, but I didn't really go back to it. But that is Judas and the Black Messiah.
So good.
It is an incredibly intriguing trailer because I would say it's largely atmospheric. I really like the repeated score, the chanting, "I am a Black revolutionary" throughout the entirety of the trailer. I think it provides a really great rhythm throughout the trailer. It tells so much of its story with so little visually, while at the same time being an incredibly stylistic and dynamic trailer. And it is 100% worth your time. Just because it did not make my top 5 does not mean you shouldn't seek it out. The other honorable mention, I wanted to shout out the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Kimmy versus the Reverend trailer, because it is something that it was trying to pitch a trailer for an interactive movie, which in of itself, hey, that's pretty weird. And how would you be able to do that in a fun and evocative way? And I think this trailer did it. And I think it did it by anchoring it with really great characters. And I also think they do a good job of not only selling you the stakes of the story, but they also do a fantastic job laying out how the interactive movie portion of it is going to work as well. And I was incredibly impressed by it. My last honorable mention. This is the first time I've done this, but this was actually a trailer I gave a never need to see, but to go off of what James was saying, what's a trailer you have forced people to watch the most? It is definitely Ghosts of War.
Guys, we've had a year with Ghost of War, I'd say.
We have had many a talks. This is a trailer that has not one but 2 rug pull moments, because you hear that title and you think to yourself, there's no way they made a ghost movie World War II hybrid. And you watch the trailer, it has very horror evocative lighting, and you go, oh my God, they did it. The character goes, hey, what's that noise? Then all of a sudden, Nazis attack. And you go, okay, cool, the title is figurative. Then after they get rid of the Nazis, what comes in that trailer? Fucking ghosts. And you get the rug pulled so much out from under you. By that point, it's like, you know what? Bury me in your rugs. I want more. And this was a movie that James and I did watch with our bad movie correspondent, Jenny Hawks. But again, that trailer is what got us there. That trailer is what made us so interested in talking about it.
Had a lot of, you talk about the twists and turns. You talk about the rug pull moments in the trailer. Man, the movie has even more
fucking hell, doesn't
turns
it?
and rug pull moments. But yeah, okay, great honorable mentions, man.
This is a top 5 after all. We got 5. James, what is your number 5?
I'm gonna hit you with it, okay? I think we're ready to get connected, Kevin, you and I, because James' number 5, favorite trailer of the year. We're going way back to January. This is Connected.
Greetings, humans.
Technology rising up.
Sayonara.
What is this strange creature? Dog, pig, loaf of bread.
We're going way back, almost a year ago, but still technically 2020.
I'm not going to lie. As the trailer was playing, I had to Google it, and I did legit scream, fuck that one.
Talk about a movie that I completely forgot existed. The second I saw it spelled out, I was just like, yeah, I watched this so many times that month, and I showed multiple people. It was so funny, and it looked super heartwarming, and it's also against artificial intelligence taking over the universe. Just all things James. It's great. And Phil Lord and Chris Miller are behind it. I don't think they direct it, but they're involved. Their taste is just like stamped all over this trailer, and their style. It just was an exciting thing to see after falling head over heels in love with Into the Spider-Verse. And if you've seen their Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs movie, I mean, that's a freaking instant classic as well.
Mhm.
To see more family-friendly animated movies by whip-smart people is just something that's really exciting to me. And that trailer took me on a journey, and it kicked the year off. Man, did I not know what was coming.
Fair enough. Okay,
So
cool,
that's my
man.
number 5, yeah.
Dude, that's a great pick. Okay. My number 5 is decidedly not that family friendly, and it is for a very specific audience, but this is a trailer that you and I both ended up really enjoying. We are going back a pretty decent ways back in the year, though, because my number 5 is Deerskin.
Excusez-moi, monsieur, mais c'est pas un peu bizarre, votre film? C'est pas du tout bizarre, c'est génial.
So yes, here I am with my foreign bullshit, because as you heard from that little trailer clip, yep, all in French. So what's going on in this? We have a guy going through a midlife crisis. He is a burgeoning director, and he ends up getting a deerskin jacket that he really likes. And it is an embodiment of his midlife crisis. And he is just shooting movies and footage. He ends up meeting this younger woman played by Adele Haenel, who asks, hey, I really want to work on your movie. And boy, I really like the footage, but I feel like it needs more action. And so he starts to create a snuff film based off of that. It is very weird. It's very wacky and absurd, but I think in a way that is incredibly accessible. For the trailer itself, it is pretty much dominated by its techno score that gets more intense as it goes along, which definitely pairs well with the story itself and what we're seeing unfold. This has maybe the best cutaway gag in a trailer this year, which is Jean Dujardin, who plays the main character, hurling a rock, cut to a shot of a kid just getting whacked in the face with it. And that encompasses the violent but cartoonish style of it. It also probably has the best button of the year to sum up whatever the fuck I just watched, which is Jean Dujardin talking to a few people who go, hey man, your movie's pretty fucking weird. And he goes, no, it's not weird. It's awesome. And the last thing I'll say about this trailer is this comes from a director by the name of Quentin Dupieux, who made a movie called Rubber, which you may know as, oh, that's the movie about the tire that goes around blowing up people's heads. I was actually a really big fan of that movie and made it a point to check out this director's movie since then. So I saw the movie after Rubber and I went, all right, I mean, I liked it, but definitely not as much as Rubber. Then I saw the movie after that and I went, okay. It's one of those things where I think Rubber might have just been the one he made for me and that was it. And then this trailer came along and I was immediately excited to watch this guy's movies again. And I think that's something that can only really come from an awesome trailer, and that's what Deerskin is.
Awesome. I think a new thing that we'll do, because normally in these episodes, Kevin, we ask, did you see that movie this year? So we'll also have to add a caveat of, did this movie come out this year?
Connected decidedly did not.
Yeah, did this movie end up coming out this year? If it did you see that movie? Yeah. So Connected definitely didn't come out this year.
Yeah.
So I have not seen it. What about Deerskin?
Did Deerskin come out this year? Yes, it did come out in the virtual cinemas, and I absolutely went out of my way and I saw it. And I definitely would say, I mean, this really sounds like a fuck you. Even though I did like the movie, I would say I liked the trailer more, which does happen sometimes. So.
Oh my God, that happens all the fucking time.
Yeah. All right. What's your number 4?
James's number 4, and I haven't done my echoey voice this year, Kevin. 2020 has gotten me all in a kerfuffle here. So James's number 4 would be Palm Springs.
Good day so far? Today, tomorrow, it's all the same. It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
Did you just gasp again? What are we in a time loop here? No, we're not. It's just Palm Springs.
It's just baby. Palm Springs. Yeah, 2020 has also affected my bits. I'm sorry. I was also gasping though because Palm Springs is my number 3, so I will totally be in support of you through all of this.
Kevin's number 3, before his number 4. Don't worry about it.
Listen, if 2020 has taught us anything, it's just that time can just be elusive. It's a weird concept. I'll bring up Palm Springs again when it gets to my part in the list. But
this is one of those trailers that I felt like I heard about for like a whole month leading up to Kevin and I actually doing the review for it.
Mm.
And it's because it was doing the festival circuit for a really long time, and it's doing really well. And I'm like, cool. Is there any trailer for it? Not yet. Okay, great. And eventually, Kevin, we did get that trailer. So by the time we got it, I almost felt like we were coming late to the party. But that didn't make it feel any less fresh when I watched it.
Mhm.
I watched this movie, and it's like a dive into the deep end of a cool pool on a hot Palm Springs summer day.
I like how you're
It's
tying
just-
it in. Yep.
It's just so refreshing and vibrant, but just soaked with existential dread. The
Yeah.
trailer will not let that theme go. And I think that is bold and beautiful. That
Mhm.
it doesn't just go for the yucks, because the trailer wants you to know what this movie's about. And this movie is about loneliness. And what is it all about?
Yeah.
But guess what? We're going to make you laugh the whole time.
Mhm.
And it sells you that premise perfectly. And I just could not get over the pitch job that movie had. Like, that's a hard order to try and get that across. But I like how the trailer editor really, really focused on the theme.
Yes, the movie itself is incredibly well done. We will also spoil did you see this? Well, we reviewed it. Go back and listen to that. It was a fun episode. But
It came out this year, and Kevin and I both saw it.
the movie itself is incredibly well done. But that said, I think making a good trailer for this could have very easily been botched, though. And that's
Yeah.
because you do have to not only set up the Groundhog Day aspect of it, which, okay, there's enough of those now where we know how to do that. But I feel like a way to set it up while also giving me that existential root, because it could have just been, oh, we're stuck in a time loop and I'm at a wedding. Well, let's do some goofy stuff. And then the entire trailer could have just been that.
Yeah.
But instead, they do really latch onto the existential component of it.
Yeah.
Palm Springs is a narrative that does take a lot of twists and turns. And so when we watched that trailer, James and I both made it a point to call out and say, oh, fuck, but the fact that we see J.K. Simmons and we know he's also in the loop too feels like something I shouldn't have known in this trailer. I feel like that's something that's going to be like a bigger reveal toward the end. And it's not. It gives you exactly what you need to know going into it. And we came into this trailer and it felt fresh. And then from that trailer, we walked into the movie and the movie still felt fresh too. And
Yeah.
yes, I think the movie is great. You should definitely see it. But also, I do want to commend the trailer as well.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to spoil what my number 3 is, even though I already told you, like, we still have a number 4 on my end to take care of.
Let's go back in time to your number 4, Kevin.
We're waking up fresh as a daisy before the number 3 was even a thought. My number 4 is The Batman.
The hell are you supposed to be?
I'm vengeance.
All right, so coming into The Batman, folks, I'm sorry to sound like an email from Lyft circa April, but this was an unprecedented year. And that means that trailers, and specifically the rollout for big franchise trailers, was incredibly impacted. James and I did an entire episode about how Comic-Con really didn't have trailers. And then there was this weird DC fandom thing. Listen, it was a big year, and it's just the thought of DC fandom gave me a headache, even though I obviously put a DC movie on this list. So anyway, in this weird, wacky year where the Batman still got to shoot, but unfortunately their star got COVID. It was a giant mess, but they did get some footage and they put out a trailer. So the Batman came in and made me someone who is definitely willing to see a comic book movie, an origin story. But at the same time, it is getting increasingly harder for me to feel excited about them.
Mm-hmm.
The Batman made me want to watch the Batman, even though I've seen however many goddamn Batmans in the past 10 years. And I think especially because they had exceptionally limited footage to work off of.
Like only 20% of the movie was shot at that point.
And it's such a well-crafted trailer out of that 20%. It does give you a really good snapshot into what makes this iteration of Batman different from the Nolan version, from the Burton version. Probably didn't have to work too hard, but the Schumacher version. They found a way to put their own stamp on it. And I think what was particularly interesting was having a Batman who is cruel. Specifically because when we see a bad guy approach him and go, hey, what are you supposed to be? And the way Batman takes him down is so vicious and ugly. And once that guy falls down, he makes it a point to go back for seconds and whack this dude on the ground. And then he growls out, I'm vengeance. And that's our introduction to him as our Batman. All of a sudden, I perked up and went, fuck, this is a dude who genuinely enjoys hitting people. That's different. And I think that's called back to with the very last bit of VO that we get in this trailer where someone says, Batman, no, you play a factor in all of us. You'll see how. I think that all ties in together exceptionally well. And again, they only had 20% of the goddamn movie to work off of. And they have this really full and immersive trailer that perfectly set the tone and set it apart from everything else. And again, I went, I want to see the Batman. And that wasn't necessarily something I was chomping at the bit for before this trailer. That says a shitload to me. So that is my number 4. As we all know, didn't come out this year. And of the 20% that shot, I have seen what is in this trailer. But so far, digging it. All right, James, that was my number 4. What was your number 3?
James's number 3 favorite trailer of the year would be Dune.
Do you often dream things that happen just as you dreamed them?
Yes.
The test is simple. Remove your hand from the box, and you die.
What's in the box?
Pain.
All right, guys, we got the completely bonkers trailer for Dune. Based off of a book which had an adaptation made in the 80s by David Lynch.
Yes, David Lynch directed it, and everything that I've heard is David Lynch says you should not see his movie because he doesn't like it. So I feel like the bar is low, and so here comes Denis Villeneuve.
Which I'm just a massive fan.
Totally,
I
yeah.
mean, Kevin and I were blown away when we saw Sicario. Like, blown away.
Yeah.
And Blade Runner 2049.
Also slaps.
No one fucking saw it. It's so good. And then he was announced for Dune, and I'm like, cool. Like, I don't know anything about Dune, but I like sci-fi a lot. I love fantasy and I love world building. And so when I saw this trailer, knowing absolutely nothing about Dune, it gives you all those things. And it does it in a way that makes you feel like you won't be overwhelmed with it, which is a testament to it, because what I hear about Dune is it can come across as super complicated. And what I loved about this trailer is it didn't seem complicated. Really, at its root, it's just like this royal family is in charge of all these planets, and it looks like there's going to be a little bit of an uprising. There's going to be some natural elements to these planets, aka butthole worms. Dune absolutely encapsulated that genre in a way that also made me go, oh, that's right. You can get someone as talented as Denis Villeneuve to elevate what this can be. You know, what says you can't reinvent the look and style of these kinds of movies with a visionary creator who just has an eye for beautiful, beautiful cinema?
Dear God, if there were ever a trailer that demanded to be seen on a big screen this year, I think this was the one.
That's an excellent point.
It's one of those things where I definitely love the visual component of that trailer. And bear in mind, it's because I'm a big dum-dum, but I had trouble kind of tracking the story components within the trailer itself. But that's
You're not a dum-dum.
Oh, thank you. But that said, there have definitely been times where I've seen a trailer on my laptop. And I think, as we all know, they hit different on the big screen. And I think just getting that scope, that sound, that color palette blasting at me in a theater 10 minutes before I was going to see, I don't know, we'll say Wonder Woman. I feel like that would have like really given me a different impression of this trailer. But I'm happy that you were able to get that same level of excitement just off of the laptop.
Well, I mean, you have to keep in mind when trailers come up like this, I bookmark them in my phone, but that is purely to remind myself to go to my TV in my living room and watch it. I'm like, no, I should probably be watching this on the biggest screen possible. And if that's not a movie theater right now, I'm going to my living room. I have YouTube on it. Let's do this. I think that has made the difference this year for me. I do my best to recreate the cinema experience because going to a movie theater and witnessing the coming attractions is one of my favorite aspects about going to movies. And some of the magic is taken away from you when you actively go and look up websites and look for new trailers, and then you bookmark them, and then you're going to type it into YouTube, and you're going to get a thumbnail. So already the most exciting image is going to be ruined for you.
Buttmouth, yeah.
There's all these aspects that are taking away from that magic. I'm trying to preserve at least the smallest bit of magic I can by taking it to that screen. And let me tell you, Kevin, Dune benefited with it and really let me appreciate the scope and visual aspects of that trailer. And I'm really excited about it. Like Kevin said, Kevin, you're not a dum-dum. You said you were having some trouble following stuff. And when we reviewed the trailer, I think we kind of funneled where that came from. And I think it's from distracting the trailer with a hint of a love story. Yeah. And I think that's why Dune didn't end up being my top 1 or 2 favorite trailers of the year, is because the trailer would have been so much more elevated if it took out that romance aspect and just focused on the world building. And then maybe focus a second trailer just on the love story. You know, just do it that way. Don't try and shove it all into one. And I'm sounding negative on it now. It's my 3rd favorite trailer of the year. So obviously I love it. I'm just saying why it's at 3 and not, say, 2 or 1.
Very cool, man. Well, my number 3 trailer of the year. What? Am I waking up again? Am I really talking about Palm Springs again? My number 3 was Palm Springs, but we've covered it. So
deja vu, man.
We're already going back to you, James. What is your number 2?
James is number 2 favorite trailer of 2020. 2020. I don't want to ever say that year again. My runner-up, second favorite trailer of the year, Sound of Metal.
Ooh.
Your hearing is deteriorating rapidly. I can't hear you. Do you understand me? I can't. I'm deaf. I'm deaf.
I like the sound of that.
Oh, Kevin, you're going to like more than the sound of that, because this trailer had it all. The Sound of Metal. Kevin and I reviewed this trailer not that long ago, actually. I feel like probably within a couple months. And it is about a drummer of a punk rock or just rock band that starts to go deaf.
I got a good feeling it's metal, but I think I might just be reading too much into things.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Oh, Kevin, because of the title. You know, I was like, Sound of Punk. That doesn't have as good of a feel to it.
Sound of Disco? Yeah. No, but I'm getting warmer.
You know why? Because the word disco and the word punk, you can't also use that word as a drum. But you know what you can use? Just the material of metal. You whack that thing, you feel the vibrations, maybe send them on up to a kid who's an aspiring musician himself on the other end of that sheet of metal to hear the vibrations. Look.
I think you're describing the movie now. You should talk about that trailer.
Damn right. Okay, you guys, Sound of Metal is one of the few trailers that comes along a year that it's emotional in all the ways that you're familiar with. So it's like, I've seen movies that have pulled on these exact kind of heartstrings before. So I don't think the Sound of Metal is going to be pulling on any different kinds of heartstrings for me. Mm-hmm. But the story that it's telling is one that I had no clue would be such a emotional gut punch of a story.
Yeah.
Because by the time this trailer ends, you hear that phrase like, oh, you don't appreciate what you have until it's gone. Mm. And you kind of take that for granted, especially when it comes to your senses. And there's lots of movies about losing your senses, right?
Yeah.
And this trailer, by the end of it, even though I have my hearing, I can honestly go, what a gift it is to have this, but also what a beautiful world it could be even without it. And that's
Yeah.
that's something that this trailer really drove home. And the trailer itself has its shortcomings, which Kevin and I talked about in our review of it. We kind of feel like we got too much visuals of maybe the third act of the movie.
Which, granted, because we haven't seen it yet, we're not sure if those
We're
are
not sure.
spoilers yet. Yeah.
Exactly. We're not sure. But that didn't take away from how it made me feel on the inside. And like I keep saying in this episode, I showed so many people this trailer, Kevin, because it moved me so much. And Riz Ahmed is just a phenomenal
It's
actor.
insanely good. Yeah.
And I just so proud that he's in a Star Wars movie. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not going to keep bringing Star Wars into every review. This looks like one of those roles that will very possibly change his career. And this role will just be such a treat to watch for me when I finally get around to watching it, Kevin.
Well, and I think also part of the component why it's like, man, it makes you really appreciate your senses is because it does such a good job of rendering what it's like to lose them, too. I mean, that shot in the shower really stuck with me. And it is an incredibly well done trailer. That probably would have made my honorable mentions, but because I'm going insane since it's 2020, I had to talk about Ghosts of War. All right, James. This is my number 2 of the year. Now, this is going to be kind of a controversial one, and I expect us to have a great dialogue about this.
Well, wait a second then. Kevin's number two. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Okay, proceed.
My number 2 is We Are Little Zombies.
こんな小さな箱に収まっちゃったよ。どういうことだよ。両親死んでる。
Okay, so why did I talk about controversy? Well, it's because when we reviewed this trailer, I gave it a need to see and James gave it a never need to see. I feel like this is the first time this has happened too, by the way, where a trailer that someone else legitimately said no to wound up on one of our lists. But god damn, am I a fan of this trailer. So We Are Little Zombies is a dark comedy about a group of orphans who band together and create a literal band called Little Zombies, and they eventually blow up in the music scene, and that's our trailer. But the trailer has an insane sense of style, really chaotic editing, and just a bonkers visual landscape that it creates for the trailer itself. You know, usually when we talk about foreign trailers, you know, you get a lot of subtitles, which are usually like the very dry Criterion Collection. It's, you know, white with black shadowing. And you also get a lot of intellectual bullying, which is a lot of critic quotes telling you effectively what to think of it. Now, the trailer definitely has both subtitles and intellectual bullying, but it stylizes them in conjunction with the actual trailer itself, which is very video game themed. It's from the perspective of a kid. And I think that this is a really good shot in the arm for foreign trailers. The first time James and I talked about intellectual bullying was back in 2016. And that's been a constant enough of a mainstay where we don't really talk about foreign trailers that much because a lot of them are just kind of doing the same thing that Tony Erdmann was doing, which was the first time we talked about that concept. And I think We Are Little Zombies kind of represents a way forward where, no, it doesn't necessarily have to be, and then cut to this dry ass card where, you know, Vanity Fair says that this movie's profound or some shit. You can have fun with it too. And it can be something that speaks to the trailer itself and the movie itself. Now, with the trailer itself, holy fuck, is this so much fun for me, because it does carry a very madcap, very, very dark, but also very absurd and playful sense of humor that I think is rendered effectively throughout the entirety of the trailer. At one point, we see our band, who, bear in mind, all of them are about somewhere between 10 to 13 years old. on this really bizarre music show where the host is a centaur and he's talking to the band who are dressed in these really weird outfits that their label has put them in. And you can tell how deeply uncomfortable they are with that. And I think that does a really good job of mining the conflict of where we go once they become a band. It's like, yes, they do achieve some success, but the control they're trying to find in their parents' death has now been ceded from them because they are now a part of this music industry. This trailer also has probably the craziest end of the year because the back half of the trailer is anchored by a performance of the band We Are Little Zombies. It is also quasi-music video in that sense. But at the end of the trailer, we get the last notes of the song, and the kid about faces, turns, and starts running on a rooftop. The cameraman, all of a sudden, we break the fourth wall, and you hear him screaming, and he's running after the kid. And he gets the camera up just in time to see the kid jump off the roof. And that's the end of the trailer.
Jeez.
And every single time I've watched this trailer, which has been a lot, I still get chills from that because everything is funny and it is dark, but that is such a crazy turn for me where all of a sudden, again, we break that fourth wall and you suddenly render incredibly effectively what the emotional stakes are for the kids. Or you could also look at that ending moment and think to yourself, holy shit, they achieved all the success within music, but it's still not enough for that kid. There are so many different ways you can interpret what's happening in this trailer, while the trailer itself is incredibly specific. And Jesus, that is so hard to do.
Yeah.
So, saying all of that, why isn't this my number one trailer of the year? Well, I have seen the movie. I did make it a point after seeing this trailer. I went, I will absolutely watch this. And I did. I really love the movie too. I will time out to say it's probably the darkest comedy I've ever seen.
Is it hard to follow?
No, it is not.
Okay.
What I will say is this trailer does give you the impression that they become a band pretty quickly. Like, this is a character-driven film, and it's 2 hours long. I don't think they actually become a band until about the hour mark.
Holy shit.
There's four members of the band. You get each one of their backstories, so it goes through all four of them before we get to them playing in a band. And what's great about that is I was really able to connect to each of these characters because they're so vividly drawn. But yeah, in retrospect, this could give you the impression that this is a bit more plot driven. So I can kind of demerit it a little bit for that. But goddamn, I've gone out of my way to watch this trailer so many times. And if you are interested in that weirder, more madcap style of movie that's very video game inspired, if you are interested in video games, I would say go out of your way to see this trailer and the movie too. They're both incredible.
All right, cool. I'll look it up if it's on anything right now.
Indeed. All right, James. We did it. We're at our number ones.
Trailer Hitch's favorite trailers of the entire year. Ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary listeners, you are all going to be super thrilled with James's number one favorite trailer of the year when you know that Kevin already talked about most of it.
Oh, did you come around to We Are Little Zombies?
No, I didn't. Great bait and switch, though, Kevin. No, that would be the Batman.
Hey, I thought you were quiet while we were talking about that one.
You are part of this too. How am I part of it? You'll see.
All right, man, this is your turn. Hit us with it. What do you love about the Batman?
All right, look, while I did reserve some things for this little discussion here, Kevin did hit on the majority of the reasons why this trailer works. And it starts with sound design. Absolute silence followed by duct tape.
Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah, isn't it crazy how it's like, oh, one of the most iconic things about the Batman, what do you think about? Duct tape, weirdly enough. But fuck, it's effective. It got me right in.
You kind of think about what are the takeaways from this trailer? What are the moments that just make you go, that trailer will stick out to my brain for a very, very long time? It's the savage beatdown by Batman. It's the duct tape sound effects at the get-go. No one ever would you go, do you want to watch the new trailer to a new Batman movie and you don't know anything about this new run of Batman? what do you think is going to be the first thing you hear? Ominous music, probably.
Right.
Not silence followed by duct tape. It took everyone so off guard. So that was super, absolutely memorable. Follow that with Batman strolling into a very, very well lit crime scene. With detectives all around just being very like, yeah, I'm not sure about this guy, but the boss is cool with him, so I guess we gotta treat him like a detective.
I think I'm a pretty good detective, but if you want to coin yourself world's greatest detective, okay, no, that's fine. Fucking come on in, man. Maybe you'll discover something. I mean, I found the letter, but whatever.
Whatever. I mean, I'm just a rookie. Maybe you've been doing this a long time. You haven't? Oh, you're a rookie too at this? Okay, well, that's interesting. Anyway, like, for all we've ever seen of Bat, like, he's always been involved with the crime fighting department of Gotham City, right? But it's usually in the capacity of talking to Commissioner Gordon in secret on a rooftop at nighttime. And this trailer is just like, nah, he's there on the reg. It's like, oh, we phone up Commissioner Gordon and we phone up the Batman. And everyone knows he's going to show up. He's on the clock. And then on top of it, you add in the style, the energy, which was completely driven by the Nirvana song. It drives the whole movie. The duct tape and Nirvana. When you think of Batman, you really just think of duct tape and Nirvana. But so yeah, you mesh all those things together and you create a trailer that has a grown ass kid like me giddy and wowed. It was really just awestrucking. So I think that is why this far and away takes the cake for me. It's the trailer I've easily watched the most times this year. It was just all I could think about for like almost a week straight. So it couldn't be anything else for me. By those stipulations alone, it was always going to be Batman.
Very cool, man. All right. Now I got my number one to talk about. So here's the deal. I contend, James, that no top 5 list is complete without the 5 Bloods. I realize now in retrospect that makes it sound like I was shit talking your list. It's okay that Defy Bloods isn't on your list, but for me personally, there was no way that I'd be able to do this without Defy Bloods at number 1 because fucking hell, this really had everything, didn't it? And when I say everything, I'm talking about an incredibly interesting premise, kind of a modern day riff on the Treasure of the Sierra Madre, where a group of Black Vietnam vets go back to Vietnam in modern day to find treasure that they buried while they were soldiers there. And so not only do we juggle the present day of these men now in, their 60s going back to Vietnam, but with flashbacks to when they were soldiers in Vietnam. We also have archival footage of the 1960s, cutting to a performance of the Chamber Brothers' Time Has Come Today throughout all of this. We also have text being thrown up on screen to highlight certain words, and it all works so fucking well together. It creates such an intoxicating mix that I think not only encompasses Spike Lee's style, who has a very specific style as a filmmaker, but it also kind of adds things to it, because I can certainly say, having seen the film, no, you do not see the music video for Time Has Come Today playing throughout this. There is some archival footage of the movie, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not as bold and abrasive with it as the trailer is. And granted, the trailer can get away with it a little bit more because this is by nature an atmospheric trailer. It's just trying to get you into the headspace and the mind space of what you're in for with this movie. It is absolutely does not give too much away, while at the same time giving you a very specific idea of what you're in for. And I just think it's fascinating. James and I kind of have, not rules, but like certain things that we see in trailers and we'll kind of criticize them for. And this trailer does some of the things we normally criticize a trailer for, but it makes it fucking work. Usually when James and I watch a trailer that only uses one song throughout the entirety of it, we will note, hey, this really does drag the energy of the trailer down. But nope, here comes one song, Time Has Come Today, and it works the entire runtime of that trailer because it is such a dynamic song. Well, okay, that's kind of making me loosen up on what I felt was a specific more to think about with trailers. I'm usually very big on, I like to at least get a sense of the characters from the trailer, just so that way I have some sort of snapshot in mind. And this trailer doesn't really. It more so just establishes those men as a unit and really is trying to encapsulate the brotherhood that they all experience together. And it really fucking works here because it is trying to make a macro point about the African American experience in Vietnam. And I can certainly confirm the movie does give you very specific characters. So all of these things swirl together to make a trailer that as soon as it was done, I restarted, which this was, I think, the only trailer this year that I did that for, where the second it was done, I rewound it and watched it again. And the two thoughts that I had in mind were, one, holy fuck, I want to see this movie right now. But also, I'm so glad I have this trailer in the meantime. And I just would watch this like probably once a day, once every couple of days leading up to the release of the movie, because I was genuinely excited to see Spike Lee's movie. But at the same time, this trailer just did such a good job of putting me in that world and mixing so many different styles of filmmaking and footage together and made it not only coherent, but incredibly exciting too. And so, yeah, for me, there was no way this couldn't have been my number one of the year.
Yeah, I mean, when a trailer keeps on giving like that, that is the sign of, hey man, this is resonating with you for reasons, and like figure it out and add it to your top list of the year of why that makes it. And for me, that was Batman. Like you said, Kevin, you're not usually the type of guy who is drawn to watch a trailer a second time on your own, on your personal time. You'll watch it once for the show, for work, for posterity. But
yeah, I mean, like I tend to watch trailers multiple times when we're reviewing them, just so that way I can feel confident that I can actually back up my feelings on the trailer with, oh, this is a specific thing that happens in this trailer. But yeah, once we are done reviewing the trailers, I typically move on. And I think that's why, for example, Judas and the Black Messiah, I think is an excellent trailer. But after we reviewed it and we're done talking about it, the next time I watched it was when I was trying to figure out what my top fives of the year were. And I can say that's a great trailer, but it did not pull me in the same way Five Bloods did.
Yeah. Well, and it's like Five Bloods is like that for me. I watched that trailer. In listening to Kevin talk about it just now, I was just gushing the whole time of like, that's right. That trailer fucking rocked. It was so good. And it's like, why wasn't that on my list? And it's like, oh, I guess I just didn't go back to it. When you don't go back that second time right away, you lose a lot of momentum with it.
Yeah.
You can only rewatch a trailer so many times, Kevin. You strike first and you strike hard in that second watch. And then if it doesn't happen, then it's going to be less memorable for you.
Yeah.
So, man, we did it.
Hey, dude, this was a trying time, but these trailers tried. And I think that these are all fantastic trailers. I wholeheartedly recommend that you, listening, watch them. But hey, what's your favorite trailer of the year? You've heard us gabbing on about trailers. What do you think? Feel free to write in. If you want to email us, you can do so at trailerhitchmailbox@gmail.com. Let us know what your favorite trailers of the year are. Otherwise, you can just search us Trailer Hitch on Facebook. You should be able to find our podcast page there. Otherwise, if you're like, I really would just have like a title and that's all I would send to you guys, but that's okay. We got Twitter at Trailer Hitch Pod. Feel free to just tweet us. Let us know what you think. If you're like, oh, but trailers, they're a visual medium. I'd want to send some sort of image along with what my favorite trailer of the year is. Good news. We got an Instagram at Trailer Hitch Podcast. Feel free to hit us up there. Otherwise, you can just comment on the very YouTube video you might be watching right now. And hey, while you're on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe and rate and do all the things that help us find more listeners. And if you're not on YouTube, you're probably listening to us on either Apple Podcasts or Stitcher. Why don't you go ahead and do all the rating and reviewing and all of the things that help us find more listeners. So that way we can hear everyone's opinion on what their favorite trailer of the year is. Because frankly, as you heard, there are plenty of really, really good trailers this year. And so I'd love to hear from all of y'all. Hear what you think. If I have a brother in arms that also thinks that We Are Little Zombies fucking slaps, Or if we can all come together like James and I and agree that The Batman and Palm Springs were both incredibly effective trailers. Before we go, we would like to say thank you so much to Danny Schmitz from Lost in a Name for the amazing intro that you hear at the top of every episode. We would like to thank Rachel Ashley for the amazing cover art that you see on her various social medias and podcast platforms. You can find her work at Mighty Creations on Instagram. We would like to thank Jenny Hawks, our Bad Movie and social media correspondent, for her sterling work week in and week out. And we would also like to thank Casey Clowers for the amazing outro, which you will hear before James gives you one last missive for the year.
Good riddance, I guess.
Yeah, right? Whatever you do, don't say shit about 2021.
Yeah, I feel confident that I'm not jinxing it by saying 2020 sucked, right? That's
a very...
The cat's out of the bag there on that one.
Yeah, a very safe call, and I appreciate that, man. Thank you. But hey, you know what didn't suck? Us talking about trailers. As always, man, thank you. You are my intrepid and amazing co-host. Couldn't do this without you. So,
well, I definitely wouldn't want to do this without you. So thank you and reciprocated.
This is it, man. This was 2020. Thank you all so much for listening. It is always a pleasure to hear from you guys. If there's anything to do this year, I guess it's just be grateful for the things that do rock, and y'all do. So thank you.
Bye. Timothy Olive
Chalamet. Every 17-year-old girl, you're just alienating them from this audience.
Is he really that much of a heartthrob? I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't seem like the type that millions of people would be crushing on, you know?
James, look me dead in the digital eye. So many people want to fuck Benedict Cumberbatch.
Not teens, though. Just adults who are like, I want a man who knows how to do his taxes.
Can we do a spin-off podcast where we talk about teen heartthrobs and try and understand why teens have crushes on them? I feel like that would be a great spin-off for us.
I would love that.
So what's the appeal here? Would we just call it Heartthrob Hitch? I feel like we could do better.
Oh, man. I have a joke that only works if you're a massive Rat Race fan.
I'm sorry, but that's one of the most James Leesky sentences I've ever heard.
Let me say it, and then let me explain why it's funny, Kevin.
Hit me with it.
So a Trailer Hitch spinoff podcast about talking about heartthrobs. What do we call it? Hauling ass. And that only works.
No, I think that works. No, I think that works in its own merit.
Let me explain why it works even beyond its own merit. Because in the movie The Rat Race, Rowan Atkinson hops in a Life Alert van with Wayne Knight. They're like talking. He's like, oh man, we're really going fast. And Wayne Knight's like, yeah, we're really hauling ass. Guess what I got back there? And Rowan Atkins is like, you just told me. Ass. We are hauling ass. And Wayne Knight's like, no. That's just an expression. It's a heart. A human heart. Some lucky bastard in El Paso's waiting for it.
Oh, okay. So that's where the heartthrob.
A heartthrob in the back of a van.
I got it.
It's got layers. It's the kind of layers only Rat Race can provide.
We're talking about heartthrobs from the perspective of someone who would make a very esoteric reference to Rat Race.
Is there any heartthrobs in Rat Race? John Lovitz. You betcha there.
I think we got our pilot.